to send to Infowars about these protests. You can't even get people screaming on video anymore. They're all incapacitated by this Darth Vader weapon. Isn't it interesting that the police state that we're now living in is resorting to weapons that really are just like the dark evil forces coming out of Star Wars? I mean, it's a little funny, but quite sad and pathetic, a bit horrifying as well. Let's hope they don't try to use that on us anytime soon. Non-lethal weapons. Who knows what they're going to do with these? Okay. Republican Tea Party diva Bachmann attacks Ron Paul. In the latest debate, Bachmann said that Ron Paul is going to put us in danger. Why? Because he doesn't want to attack Iran. And she said that we got to go after Iran because if we don't, one of our cities could blow up. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Let's get to the exact quote out of the story. The fabrication that Iran will nuke Israel is gleaned from a mistranslation of an Ahmadinejad's speech. In fact, Ahmadinejad said the regime occupying the holy city of Jerusalem will, quote, vanish from the page of Times. He did not say that Iran will wipe Israel off the map. He didn't even mention Israel by name. This is from an Infowars article. But even though he didn't say that, this is the justification for candidates like Bachmann to go after Ron Paul for not attacking Iran. Ron Paul just wants to keep us out of these conflicts, bring our troops home, and enforce the Constitution, which requires a congressional declaration of war before we engage in these military acts of aggression against other countries. Hasn't Ron Paul been doing great in the recent debates? Just lighten it up with the truth about freedom and liberty and the Constitution. It's great. Even his opponents are now acknowledging how well Ron Paul is doing in the debates. Now, next, we have Congress overturns incandescent light bulb ban. Yeah, you knew this one was coming. They were pushing for it. The Republicans in Congress were trying to reverse this ban that was passed in 2007. They struck a new deal Thursday that overturns these rules that were going to go into effect next year. And this was part of a 1,200-page, $915 billion spending bill that is going to be signed into law very soon. They have to sign the spending bills, so they just sort of inserted this light bulb ban reversal bill or language inside that bill. So now, hey, we get our lights back. Isn't that great? For all of you who have been hoarding light bulbs, you can now relax. You'll be able to buy them a little bit longer. And as one of the crew members here, hey, we may even have a little bit of light left by which to read the remaining shreds of the Bill of Rights, if all this continues. Here's some natural news articles, by the way, about compact fluorescent lights. We wrote about this last year and how even CFLs are loaded with mercury. So this whole effort to try to push compact fluorescent lights on us as energy efficiency, well, this was rooted in a kind of contamination agenda for our environment anyway. You can read a lot more about that at naturalnews.com, where I serve as the editor when I'm not here having fun with the crew at the Infowars Nightly News. It is crazy sometimes, some of the stories that we see coming across our desks, and we all have to laugh about it before and after the tapings of these shows. So, continuing now, we have Internet architects oppose U.S. online piracy bills. This is a big deal. 80 experts who have spoken out about the dangers of the Stop Online Piracy Act, the SOPA. 80 different experts have given an open letter to Congress. These are engineers, inventors, and software developers. And in this letter, they express concern about the bills introduced in the Senate and the House of Representatives. In fact, everybody who understands the basic fundamentals of liberty is against this. But guess who's for the bill? Of course, Hollywood. Yes, and the music industry and the Chamber of Commerce. They want this internet kill switch so that if you're accused of any kind of piracy, even linking to a site that's engaged in piracy, the U.S. government can seize your web domain. They can take down your entire server, take you offline without due process. Isn't that interesting that so much is happening in America today now without due process? Just as the NDAA wants to strip away due process from you, the individual, strip away your right to a trial by jury, your right to face your accuser, your right to even know what you're being charged with, this SOPA wants to take away the rights of websites to exist on the internet and to fight any kind of censorship attempt with due process. I guess due process is no longer trendy in America these days, huh? That's a sad commentary on the situation. But all right, moving on. California regulators are now committing acts of economic sabotage in my opinion, against organic pastures. Now, here's what they did. Now, Organic Pastures, you may remember, is led by Mark McAfee, and he was outspoken against the raids, the armed raids on Rawsome Foods, where they sold organic milk and raw cheese and watermelons and other foods like that. But now the state of California is apparently setting up Organic Pastures. They've shut them down for many weeks, cost them who knows how much money, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars as an estimate, but they claimed that Organic Pastures milk was sickening children in California with E. coli. Well, it turns out that when this milk was tested, there was no E. coli in the milk whatsoever. So it was another kind of false flag attack on the raw milk industry, targeting Organic Pastures and Mark McAfee with this act of economic sabotage, or you might call it state-sponsored economic terrorism, conducted by the state of California as payback. Yeah, payback against these people that stand up for raw milk as a real food in California. Can you believe that's happening these days? It's economic terrorism funded by the state of California. Unbelievable. Now moving on. Have you seen those pink Bibles for sale? Well, it turns out that some of the money from these pink Bibles goes to none other than the Susan G. Komen for the Cure organization that then hands over a portion of this money to Planned Parenthood. That's right. It goes from the Bible to Komen to Planned Parenthood. So if you're out there buying these pink Bibles, watch out. It turns out that the Lifeway Christian Resources organization, which is in fact part of the Southern Baptist Convention, they've now stopped selling the pink Bibles as this information went public. Now, in their defense, they did say that this money from Komen was only used by Planned Parenthood to conduct mammograms. Well, even if that's true, and who knows, maybe they're lying to us about that, but even if that's true, mammograms cause breast cancer, folks. Mammograms irradiate your breasts and your heart tissue. And if you get enough mammograms over time, you will get breast cancer sooner or later, because that's what radiation does to your DNA. It causes mutations that lead to cancer. I can't believe that they would use Bibles or the sales of Bibles to promote procedures that give women cancer or possibly fund abortions in America. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, moving on. After pink Bibles, we have some good news that has taken place. We have a man in, what city is this in? The ex-con in Detroit, I believe. He found a wallet with $1,000 of cash in it, and he returned it to its rightful owner. Yes, indeed. Inside the wallet, reports My Fox Detroit, was enough cash to tempt even the most honest person. $1,000 in cash, credit cards, and a man's identification. And he turned it in and gave it back to its rightful owner. That's good news about honest citizens in America, especially in contrast to people like John Corzine, who found a few $1 billion in cash in customer accounts and decided to steal it for himself. Yeah, you got a guy just out of jail that's giving the money back, and yet you have these wealthy globalists who are stealing billions and so far getting away with it. It's incredible. Now, that's it for the news wrap for tonight, but stay tuned because we have just an extraordinary interview coming up with the creators of A Noble Lie. This is the documentary that you'll want to see, available right here from the Infowars store. Alex Jones interviews these creators in the segment coming up next. But first, I've got one more item for you here. I have written a commentary, an editorial, about the NDAA. I felt so strongly about this, and I wanted to bring you this special commentary. And you know, we don't use teleprompters here on Infowars Nightly News, so I'm going to be reading this to you on paper. This is word for word exactly as I wanted you to hear it, so please bear with me as I bring you this editorial. I hope you agree it's a strong commentary against those who would support this NDAA. And here it is. With the passage of the National Defense Authorization Act, America has set a dark course down a path that can only lead to its downfall. Absent the natural law rights granted to the people by our Creator, and now subjected to secret military kidnappings, detainment, torture, and assassinations by our own government, we the people are seen only as subservient assets to a system of such moral and financial corruption that it screams out for abolishment. If we are judged by the government we keep, then in the passage of this NDAA, we have failed at our most fundamental task, to refresh the tree of liberty from time to time, not with the blood of patriots and tyrants, but with the wisdom and the foresight to avoid such bloodshed. This moral failure will haunt us for years to come, and it will curse upon the hands of those who stood silently and said nothing the blood of their fellow Americans who will die at the hands of the tyrants, emboldened and empowered by the wickedness of this NDAA. Those who voted for it and who signed it have now placed a spiritual debt upon their souls, not merely for their conscious betrayal of the people, but for their contempt for the divine creator from which these natural law rights eternally spring. Even in a violent popular uprising, the theoretical act of sentencing these tyrants to death and carrying out those sentences in the name of justice pales in comparison to the judgment awaiting them beyond this life. In this outrageous act of betrayal, they are unleashing shockwaves of evil, rippling, tearing through the fabric of our nation and through our hearts. They have betrayed us. They have sold us down the road of tyranny. And they absolutely will not stop until and unless we make them stop. Tonight, I pray that Americans shall find the courage and the self-worth to reject this betrayal of our fundamental freedoms, and I pray that we, the people, grant these ignorant lawmakers who would so carelessly unleash this tyranny upon us all a unique opportunity to reconsider their actions in isolation, away from society, behind bars. At this dawn of a new era of history in America, prison time is perhaps the most merciful option we can possibly grant these traitors. May God have mercy upon their souls, and may the people abandon any thoughts of violent vengeance and instead find it in their hearts to respect the rule of law, even against those who refuse to. Today, we follow in the footsteps of great men who gave us a framework for liberty and an imperfect system, but a workable system for justice. May our own footsteps follow gently in their shadows, and may they lead us to the wisdom to find our way through the storm of tyranny and into the light of liberty. This is Mike Adams for Infowars Nightly News. Now stay tuned, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Alex Jones with a special interview with the creators, the producers of this film right here, A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995. Oh yeah, we've got specials for you, of course. Get all 18 films, which I have done. Those are on special at the Infowars store. We've also got the Patriot yearly subscription offer, 44% off, just $39.95. This is the fuel that fuels the Infowars machine here. We need your support, especially in this dark hour of America. We need your support, so please check out those subscriptions that are now available at a discount that you don't normally see. So check those out online at Infowars.com. Please find it in your own hearts and minds to support this effort here, as I am doing. We need your support. This is a desperate hour for America, and if we don't rise up now, if we don't get smart and continue to inform others, we may lose this republic. Now, stay tuned with us here. After this break, we'll come back with Alex Jones and the interview with the creators of this film, A Noble Lie. Thank you.
What's up with these sorry politicians? Lots of bark. When it's showtime, whimpering like little shih tzus. You want big cuts. Ron Paul's been screaming it for years. Budget crisis? No problem. Cut $1 trillion year one. That's trillion with a T. Department of Education? Gone. Interior, Energy, HUD, Commerce? Gone. Later, bureaucrats. That's how Ron Paul rolls. Want to drain the swamp? Ron Paul. Do it.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the Infowars store at Infowars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe Infowars t-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at Infowars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there, wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at Infowars.com today. The water filters, the canteens, it's all there. Infowars.com.